Hello and welcome to the Crystal Vision Podcast, where we dive deep into the strategies and energetics of business, money, and mindset mastery so as to create the next generation of wildly wealthy women. My name is Olivia Clare and I'm a serial entrepreneur who is obsessed with giving you all of the tools that you need to create your crystal clear vision of success. Each week, you will hone in on your unique zone of genius and embody the highest version of yourself to reverse engineer your way to your dream life. If you're ready to let go of the hustle and effortlessly call in more money, more growth, and more fulfillment, stay tuned. Hello, and welcome back to the Crystal Vision Podcast. We've got a really interesting guest on the show today, Reid, marketing expert and business strategist for Introverted Entrepreneurs and host of the Introvertpreneur Podcast. Today, she takes us through how to figure out if you're an introvert or an extrovert and the best ways to align your marketing to your natural gifts and talents, leaving the outreach, the IG reels, and the hours of engagement behind. Let's get into the episode. Hi, Tara. Welcome to the Crystal Vision Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. It's Friday. Friday morning over here, so the weekend's close by. I'm hoping for good weather always. But yeah, I think it's a Thursday evening for you.
Yeah, and we're getting a little bit of a snowstorm right now, but it's all good.
Do you like the snow?
I do now that I don't have to drive in it to go to work.
Yeah.
I find that I can enjoy it more.
I can't even imagine. I just came back from Europe a couple of weeks ago and I had my first ever snowfall. So I am obsessed, but I don't have to deal with it all the time. So I think it's one of those things that's fun for a little while. And then when you have to shovel snow or like you said, drive in it, it's how fun is a snowstorm? Amazing. Well, I'm so excited to have you on. It's actually really interesting. Tara reached out to me via email and I was so intrigued by what it is that you teach and sort of the way that you position yourself as an introverted entrepreneur. And with that perspective, I was like, oh, I haven't heard anyone talking about this. And now that I think about it, so much of the online coaching space is really geared towards teaching people who are extroverted. So I can't wait to dive into this a little bit deeper. I'm an extroverted person, so I'm so curious to hear about your perspective and for my listeners to really, maybe finally have someone that they can relate to in a way. So can you define introvert for us?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people use the term a little bit generally, like it's like, oh, I'm introverted. It means I don't like people, but that's not usually the case. It's usually like we tend to thrive more in one-to-one settings, or we need to take more time for ourselves to like recharge our batteries. So where an extrovert kind of gets energy from other people, it drains us and we need to recharge on our own and then come back to it. And then there's like, I always say I'm high on the introvert scale because I also have social anxiety. So it's been a learning lesson for me. Like not all introverts are shy or quiet like I am. But a lot of us are as well. So I definitely have additional things that I need to do in terms of like marketing and growing my business and connecting with people and networking. So I think the big thing is just to figure out your personality, what your strengths are, and how you can use them.
I love that. Awareness is key. Awareness can change so much for us, and letting go of the judgment or our perspective of what it needs to look like or what entrepreneurship needs to look like. So I'm curious, again, to hear your perspective. What does introversion look like in the entrepreneurial world, in the online business space? And how does someone know if they're an introverted entrepreneur? Like, is it something that you, and in your experience, did you figure it out over time? Did you wake up one morning and you're like, oh my God, so much makes sense. I realize I'm introverted. Just talk me through that experience and what it is like to be an entrepreneur and to also be introverted.
Yeah, I think for me, like I've always known that I was an introvert and shy, quiet, whatever words you want to use to describe me. Um, and I think when I got started as an entrepreneur, it was like that was always seen as something that wasn't a strength. It was like you need to like come out of your shell, you need to show up, you need to pretend to be somebody else. And so I was like, okay, so that's what I have to do to be a successful business owner. I need to push myself. And I did that every day for several years. And it was just exhausting. It was just, I had this moment of clarity where I'm like, this is not for me. So if this is what I need to do to build an online business, I'm not going to do it anymore. It's just, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like it's not authentic in any way. And it's, yeah, just exhausting and led to burnout. So I was like, I really need to shift how I'm thinking about being an introvert because I always looked at it as a negative. Like people always say, "Oh, you're so quiet," like it's a negative thing, or "Oh, why don't you come out more?" Like it's always something that I felt, and I think this was like through childhood and high school years, like ingrained in me was like, "Oh, there's something wrong with me, and I need to fix it. I need to change it. I need to push myself."
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I was like, "Nope, I'm gonna just be who I am and find ways to grow my business that work for me." If it doesn't work, then okay, that's fine. If it does work, then great. Introverts can do this. And that's kind of what I want to help other introverts with. If they're right now struggling with doing reels and showing up on video and listening to all the noise about things that you have to do, because I mean, I know people push video because video is king. It works, but it doesn't work if you don't enjoy it.
Yeah, that's such a good point. That's something that I had written down like in my notes for this episode as well as I think again, having you sort of show up in my field, I thought, oh my goodness, there is so much rhetoric around, just go out there and talk to people, or you need a video, like you said, you need to be on camera all the time and get on a podcast and do lots of outreach and lots of networking. That's the best way to grow. And, how is an introvert meant to do that? Not only comfortably, but like you said, there is a difference between pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone and being someone that you're not, and thinking that you have to be a certain way in order to experience success. And I feel like success is you only become successful once you're able to do it in a way that is really authentic to you, and particularly marketing, which you're an expert in, right? We know authentic and being authentic is so important in marketing nowadays. So in conclusion, what I want to ask you is, in terms of growth, when we have all this information about using social media, being in front of the camera, and that's the best way to grow, how would you recommend that an introverted entrepreneur approaches growth in their business?
Yeah. So I always look at it like in terms of marketing methods and like how you can get visible in a way that, I mean, maybe pushes you outside your comfort zone a little bit, but I don't want to tell someone you have to push yourself outside your comfort zone every day, because I mean, that's not sustainable. If you're constantly pushing yourself, it's just not going to be fun. So I think it's important to know, like, is it fear that's holding you back from doing certain things or trying certain things? Or is it just that it's not for you? And I think, if you know that something is just not for you, then you're open to find other ways to get visible. Like for me, I really focused in on email marketing. I was like, I love writing. I love connecting to people and sharing value. And to me, that doesn't mean engaging and having to show up on social media. I actually left social media this year. So I used to be on Instagram. I had like engaging 1 hour a day. I was doing stories and I did try reels, although I did not enjoy it whatsoever. Because for me, I mean, I always loved creating content. So it wasn't so much creating content for social media that I struggled with. It was first it was engaging and having to feel like I had to be on and show up and respond right away to comments and messages. But then it was also really overwhelming to me to just scrolling my feed to like try to engage and getting all this information thrown at me, because I also really love to learn. I'm a self-proclaimed course addict. I love learning different things. So as a multi-passionate, that was really hard for me too. And I didn't realize how much it affected me until I left Instagram. And I was like, wow, this really did impact like my productivity and how much I put into my own business, because it was just draining me and exhausting me and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And how did your business grow when you left Instagram? Like how did your business also react to leaving behind not only social media, but something that was draining you so much? Because we think like, oh, if I leave social media, everything's going to fall apart. I'm not going to have any more clients. How can I grow with email marketing anymore? I need to be on TikTok. So I'm curious to see like how that actually went for you.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people feel that way, because if you do step away from social media to focus on other less social methods to grow your business, those methods don't really give you like the instant satisfaction that posting, sharing a reel and getting immediate likes or comments, which we know are vanity metrics, but we love that instant gratification of social media where things just move so quickly. So that was a little bit of a learning curve. And I think something that a lot of people do struggle with when they leave social media. They're like, oh, I'm now focusing on my email list or writing blog content, but it's not giving me like, I'm not getting instant comments from people on my blog posts. So it's a little different that way. So you have to think about it more as like a long-term strategy and growth method. And it's interesting because I just looked at some numbers. So I left Instagram in June and I just went back and was like looking at my email numbers, and I've actually doubled my email list size since I left. And because I've really been focusing on it, and I've also doubled my email open rates. So they were at like, I think 25-ish%, and now they're at 40. So I was like, okay, even with doubling my list size, like that number should have went down. And instead I doubled that too. So I think if you're going to choose a method, just go all in on it. Like learn everything you can. Like when I decided I was going to focus on email, I started creating more freebies, more lead magnets to get more leads in. I started working on my email sequences and how I have tags set up and figuring out how I can better segment my audience. Like I did all those things. I dove into like everything I possibly could with email. I started like tracking my emails monthly, like which ones did people open or which ones got the most replies. Maybe that's an email I can take and put into a sequence for new people to get. So yeah, I think just going all in on whatever method you find works for you. So for me, it's definitely email is my main, like where I connect, where I build my community, where I want people to end up. And then I also use blogging. I focus a lot on SEO, so getting organic traffic from Google. And then I also like, because those are all kind of organic methods, I was like, I do still need to have some kind of method for getting new people in and like really attracting them. That's not a long-term strategy. So for that, I also do podcast guesting like this. I do speaking at summits, which they're all pre-recorded. So it's not as hard as like showing up live and teaching a live workshop for an hour. And also participating in bundles. Like I'm in one this week where I think I've gained almost 1,000 new people on my email list from that one bundle. So
that is amazing. I think there's a really key thing that you're talking about here, which is, like you said, when you focus on one thing, that is usually what grows. I think the saying, it rhymes, is like where your attention goes, your energy grows, or something along those lines. But I think that's so important. We forget sometimes with the way that things have been set up that we feel like we need to have all of our eggs in different baskets because, okay, if that reel doesn't do well on Instagram, maybe it will do okay as a TikTok. And hang on, wait, I forgot I need to send an email out to my list today and, you know, all those sorts of things. And there is so much vanity involved with social media that I see this a lot and I preach this a lot that like forget your Instagram, just focus on getting clients first because we can get so caught up and spend. I remember once I spent an hour editing a reel and I had a lot of fun with it, but you know, you post it, it gets like 7 likes and then you think, wow, imagine what kind of email I could have written or how I could have actually spent that hour engaging with real people or getting actual clients instead of thinking that this one reel is going to be the thing that's going to grow my business. So I think that's amazing. 40% open rates. Hallelujah. That's incredible stuff. And I got goosebumps as you were saying that because I think it's so important for people to know that it's not one size fits all and that with our own businesses, we get to create the type of work that we want to do and anything will work. If you know that anything can work, pick what you are going to be the most interested in doing or the less exhausted by and stick with that and you will see growth come from it over time. I also love, I just want to touch on what you were talking about with instant gratification. I think like what a good skill to build, even though it would have been like whiplash going from instant gratification to, you know, blog posts or focusing on email marketing and maybe not seeing as much growth. But business requires a lot of patience. And I think us showing up on social media a lot or seeing other people go viral and get lots of sales overnight can really hinder our ability to be patient with the growth. So I think that's just like, are you making me want to quit my social media? I'm going to leave Instagram next.
Definitely. I always tell everyone like, also like look at your numbers. Like even if anyone listening is feeling like, oh, I feel the same way. I'm like, I really am starting to dislike showing up on Instagram all the time, for example, or TikTok or whatever you're doing right now. Look at the real data and see how much actual results you're getting from that platform based on the time that you're spending on it. Because I did that. And when I knew I was going to leave, but I was like, I wanted to look at the data to make sure, be like, okay, yep, I'm making the right decision. And it was shocking. Like I was spending so much time on Instagram, engaging and creating content. And I mean, Facebook, where I spend no energy or time, was getting more results. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm making the right move because it's not actually getting people like they're commenting, they're liking, they're saving, they're all excited, but they're not actually taking action and getting them over to my website, which is what we want. We want to like get them on our email list, make sales, have them become a client. So just likes and engagement don't put food on the table.
No, they don't. It definitely does not pay the bills. That's for sure. Amazing. Okay. Can we talk about what like product offerings and how an introverted entrepreneur determines what product suite of offers is right for them? I had so much trouble with this when I first started. I was like, okay, and pricing, always with pricing. What do I price this? Pricing's so hard. What do I offer? Do I want to do this? What's right? What's wrong? We can get so much in our head about it. So what advice do you have for people who are in entrepreneurship, whether they're at the start or midway through, when it comes to thinking about what to offer?
I love this because I'll say first, like I currently have over 50 offers or digital products in my business. So I love creating new stuff and new offers that are going to give people, whether it's a quick win with a smaller price digital product or a full transformation with a very lengthy course. I I love creating offers. And I think the first thing to think about is when you have any kind of a offer idea is, so you have an idea about what your offer is going to do for the person who buys it. I think then it's essential to think about in terms of what that offer is going to look like. What makes sense for you? Like, what do you do and enjoy? Like, there is no way I would want to do a 6-month long program, live program, because I know I don't want to, I like flexibility. I don't like to be locked into a schedule. So I know that I will never do something like that. And what's the best format for the topic itself? Like if it's something that is going to be like, they need to see your screen, is really tech heavy, then you probably don't want to do like a private podcast offer. You want to have it as maybe a course or a live workshop that you then turn into a course. But then you also need to think about your audience and how they're best going to get what they need, because I'm a course junkie, I said. So I've taken so many courses, and I mean, I've struggled with this, like wanting to put so much into an offer, whether it's a course or a digital product, but that can be really overwhelming. So I think sometimes we need to scale it back and strip it down and give exactly what they need to get from lesson to lesson or from step to step, and not make it overwhelming, because that's the number one reason why people will not finish a course.
Less is more, right? Less is more. Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it's great hearing from a course junkie about what to put in and what not to put in.
I can share a good example too of like how I've learned and changed things up. So I started my first membership over 2.5 years ago now. And when I first started it, I was like, okay, standard membership. We're going to have one group call per month. And then I'm going to create all this monthly content and training. And I got burnt out creating the content every month, because I was like planning topics a year, like the whole year, like what we were going to cover in November. I had that planned in January, and then November would come around and I'm like, I really don't want to create content on this topic. So that made me, again, look at the numbers. I went into the membership and I was like, okay, how many of the members are actually consuming this monthly content that I'm really putting a lot of time and energy and stress into creating? And it wasn't a lot. They were there for the community, not and the support, not necessarily new content every single month. So I decided last January to switch it up. So I was like, we're not doing monthly content anymore. Nobody's using it, which is fine. You don't need it right now. That's fine. Maybe you'll need it later, but it's just not beneficial. So, and I feel like what you need right now is more support. So I added in 2 days of Voxer office hours per month along with the call. And oh my gosh, like, because my membership is for introverts, they love Voxer office hours. Like they blow up my phone every day for Voxer office hours, but yet the group calls they're still usually just the handful of regular people that show up. Most people don't want to come live, which is fine. I totally get that, or they can't make it live. But I love that they love the Voxer office hours so much. And I was like, why didn't I do this sooner? Like, it just makes sense with my audience, knowing that they're introverts. Like, I should have asked myself, like, what would I want if I wanted support and coaching and a membership? Like, what would make me actually use it and feel supported? And I was like, Voxer office hours.
Yeah. And there's that is like marketing 101, I suppose, and what we can get. I think it's one of the first things I actually learned about in marketing at university. And I remember I was like, ginormous, like light bulb went off in my head. And I don't remember the exact term. I'm trying to think. I think they call it like product, something to do with when you have your product and you get so caught up in how amazing it is that you forget to actually ask if the audience are going to use it or if they want it. Like, you're so excited by it. And I know I did this. So I was like, oh my God, that's why I wasn't making any sales, because we're like, wow, we can add this feature and how cool if we could do that. And then we forget to think, wait, what do they actually want? And it can be way simpler than we ever expected. So I love that perspective as well. I think everyone could benefit from taking a seat and having a think about what offers they have. And if they're overcomplicated, and, you know, we can also try and add lots of things because we potentially feel uncomfortable with the price. And so we feel like we need to overcompensate. But that's a great example. It's like people are paying the membership. They're not viewing the content anyway. So clearly there's not a problem with price. And I'm sure other people have had that experience too. So yeah, what a great lesson to just think, oh, hang on a second. Can this be way simpler than I've made it?
Yes. So, and I started, so what I did instead too, adding in the Voxer office hours, I also added in a form where I'm like, request a topic, request a workshop, like, so they can actually request content. And then I can create content that comes in that I'm like, okay, yeah, I feel like creating this right now and somebody needs it. It's not just me just randomly creating content like months ahead of time and then throwing it up on the membership site.
Oh, so clever. And then it's just, and then you can repurpose it. Now that's my social media brain going like, oh, we can repurpose that for Instagram or a podcast or an email or any of those other growth forms. So I love that. Okay, I want to talk about you specifically. I love asking these questions to my podcast guests. What are you currently passionate about, whether it is in business or life, and what is lighting you up at the moment?
That's a really good question. I feel like so many things I could say. I think business-wise, I mean, right now I'm in the process of doing a rebrand. So I'm really excited about even clarifying my messaging further. I have new brand colors, new fonts, a new logo. So that's really energizing, I feel like, for 2023 and how I want my business to move forward. And then I think personally wise, what lights me up, I have 3 senior rescue dogs, and they're just my world.
Oh, I love it. I'm a dog and a cat lady, but I have a fur child, so I love it. And when I was traveling, any dog that I could see, I was like, you can come home with me, because I missed her so much. So I love that. What are you currently working on? What's in the works? Have you like decided to rest? We're recording this in mid-December. So is it like resting, or is it like trying to, you know, in a frenzy, trying to clean everything up before the end of the year? Like what's on the books?
This is actually a perfect question for today, because I just did earlier today, I did my annual goal and content planning workshop with my members. So I just mapped out what I want to focus on next year, what else I'm going to say goodbye to. So one big project I'm going to have, hopefully, and one of my big goals next year is I have a book partially written.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm hoping I can finally like get that ready. But for the rest of this month, I think I have my calendar blocked out as of the 22nd through to January 3rd. So I'm gonna take a good period of time off for the holidays.
I love that. Yes, it's time to rest. I find so many people, I don't know, it gets to December 1st and they're like, you know what? 2023 will be my year. So I love the idea of sort of taking time to slow down and really think about it now and have that sort of inspiration and motivation now and reflecting on everything that's happened in the past years. So how exciting, and time to rest. So, so important. This is my last question and one of my favorite questions. What is your crystal vision for the future? So without revealing too much, what is it that you're working towards so that in a few years' time, we can listen back and go, yep, she manifested it all?
That is a really good question. I feel like so many things. I want to see my book in a bookstore.
Yes. I've got goosebumps.
I've had it not even half finished. I have like 3 chapters. I have it all outlined, and then I have 3 chapters written, and I've had those 3 chapters written for about 2 years in a Google Doc.
Wow. Yeah.
And a few months ago, I was like, I feel like I need to just get this out in the world. So it's really about my story as an introvert, and then moves into kind of building a business as an introvert.
It's so powerful. So many people need to hear that. Like I said, I haven't seen that anywhere. Talk about like niching and not niching at the same time. It's so important, I think, for a perspective. And we tend to put everyone in the same box. So I love that will continue to share that message. I want to see it in a bookstore. That's so exciting. Amazing. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to get off your chest? Anything I didn't ask you, or any last things that you want to share with my audience?
I think the biggest thing, so if anyone's listening and they're like, yeah, this is me, I can relate to that. I think the biggest thing is just knowing that, there's so many ways to build a successful business. There's so many ways to get visible, without stepping outside your comfort zone every single day. Like, there's so many opportunities. You can do podcast guesting. And believe me, when I first started my own podcast, I was terrified. I was so nervous and worried about it. Like, oh, people aren't going to like my voice. I'm going to get left awful reviews. Nobody's going to listen to it. But I just went ahead and did it. And I like the comments I get from people who have listened. I'm just like, yes, this is why I do it. So I think sometimes we have to go back to our why as well when we're feeling some mindset issues pop up. Like, what is my why? Why do I want to get this message out there? Who needs to hear it? And really focus on that.
Oh, that is so powerful. Oh, what a nice note to end on. Please tell us, where can people find you? How can they get on that amazing email list so they can stay in the loop and continue to be updated when you have these incredible offers come through?
Yeah, so you can find me at my website, thetarareid.com. And then I have a free resources page where I have about 10-ish freebies. Probably the one I would recommend anyone listening that is connecting with this to start with. I have a free webinar that is all about the 4 marketing methods that are best for introverts. And I go more in depth into how to make them work for you.
Oh, I love that. And all the links will be in the show notes as well. So you can just swipe up and get that now, because I know everyone's going to be running. I'm running. I'm not even an introvert, and I'm so curious to hear what you have to say. And also, if you're not an introvert and you're an extrovert, but you're a coach and you maybe have introverted people that you're coaching, this is also a really powerful resource for you as well to get a different perspective on what it is that you teach. So I encourage anyone listening, whether you're introverted, extroverted, I think ambivert is a thing as well. When you're both, go and check out Tara's stuff. It's incredible. Thank you so much, Tara, for joining us. I had so much fun meeting with you and chatting with you, and I'm going to sign up for the email list, and I expect a really big, excited email when your book comes through so I can run to a bookstore to find it. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great to connect with you.
Okay, thanks everyone.